All right, guys, I got some big breaking news here for you, multiple pieces of big breaking news. So the legendary journalist Seymour Hersh is out with a big report on what's going on with Iran right now. And according to him, he says it's not just the case that the U.S. is going to directly enter the war and start bombing Iran and going after their nuclear facility. According to him, the decision has already been made to do full regime change. So that's a big deal. I mean, as of this moment, Trump is still playing hide the ball and pretending nobody knows what I do. Maybe I'll attack, maybe I won't. Nobody knows what I do. But the thing is, we already know the U.S. is directly involved. Obviously, we're arming Israel. We're funding Israel. We provided them support on the ground. We greenlit the initial attacks, the initial multiple waves of attacks. So we're already directly involved in the war. And the media is talking about it from the perspective now of, will the U.S. get directly involved? Illegally, by the way, because that's what it would be, because there's no approval from Congress. Will the U.S. get directly involved and bomb their main nuclear facility, which I believe is called Fordo? And what Seymour Hersh is saying is, not only have they already decided we're definitely doing that, they're also going to go after the supreme leader, but then they're also going to go after as many other military and political officials as they can, and even go as far as to go after, like, the police stations in Tehran and things of that nature. So a total onslaught has already been greenlit, and he reports that the reason that they're waiting is because Trump wants to do it during the weekend so that the impact on the markets is not as bad when Monday rolls around. So if he were to launch the, in his mind, hey, if I launch the attack during the week, the market is going to absolutely plummet, and we want to avoid that, so let's wait till the weekend and I'll pretend like I don't even know if I'm attacking yet. So that's a huge deal, huge report, and this guy has a track record of being right on a lot of stuff. So that's super important, but there's actually even a bigger and scarier report out there. So this is from The Guardian, and The Guardian says, all the talk right now is about when the U.S. goes after Iran's main nuclear facility, that they're going to be using these 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs. And I've seen that pretty much taken at face value, where like every media outlet is talking about it from that perspective. But according to the report from The Guardian, it is literally actually on the table to use a tactical nuclear weapon against this Iranian facility. Now, I know just hearing that, you're like, what? What do we live in a fucking nightmare? Well, the answer is yes, we live in a nightmare. So this is actually on the table. Now, the White House, in an attempt to sort of downplay this report, they come out and say, no, we're not really considering that. But then the last thing they say is, but all options are on the table. So then the Guardian reporter fired back and said, after my report that they're considering using a tactical nuke, they are validating that they are considering using a tactical nuke. If all options are on the table, that means the tactical nuclear option is on the table. And by the way, there's an actual reason why this might even be not just possible, but maybe even potentially likely that they would use this, is because we've seen the impact of the 2,000-pound bunker busters. So Israel has a bunch of those that we gave them. And as you all know, they've used them in Gaza. Now, you could see the impact when one of these things lands, right? And yeah, it's, 2,000-pound bunker buster it's a big deal. It's a very powerful weapon. But at the same time, the amount of damage that it does, certainly that's not enough to get the Iranian nuclear facility, which is literally like in a mountain at the base of the mountain, right? And so we saw the damage the 2,000-pound ones do. That's nowhere near the damage you would need to take out this nuclear facility. But they say it's okay, it's going to be 5,000-pound bunker busters. But even the impact of the 5,000-pound bunker busters, a lot of experts think that is not enough to get this nuclear facility, right? And so then the question becomes, all right, are you guys talking about let's launch like 10 5,000-pound bunker busters and think that might work and get all the way to the base of this mountain where there's a nuclear facility buried inside? Or is this just a fucking smokescreen, and the real thing that you want to do is maybe use a couple bunker busters, but also a fucking tactical nuclear weapon? I mean, honestly, this is like, The fact that we're even having this conversation is immensely disturbing. And it shows you that we've lost our fucking minds. Now, by the way, another part of the reporting, I believe this was Seymour Hersh's reporting, he says, so the U.S. is all on board. Israel is obviously, over the moon at the fact that we're green-lighting regime change. But there actually is a disagreement at the bottom of this, because even though the U.S. has basically agreed to everything, the disagreement comes with, well, what happens after? Like, what happens after we do the regime change? Well, according to the reporting, J.D. Vance, and he's one of the voices in the room who's saying this, and I think Trump may have tepidly agreed to what J.D. Vance is saying here, but his argument is like, all right, well, obviously what we do is we overthrow the supreme leader, and then we put in power some, like, moderately religious force, right? In other words, you don't go from a full Shia Islamic theocracy and like go full secularization, right? Because that would be like a culture shock. That would lead to further backlash on top of the backlash of some outside power overthrowing your government. So J.D. Vance says, yeah, like a moderate Shia leader, right? And apparently the Israelis are apoplectic about that. And they say, no, we want no Muslim leader at all. No Muslim leader. And effectively what the Israelis want is a total Western puppet, but more specifically, an Israeli puppet. So obviously the name that comes to mind when you talk about that is the son of the Shah, the former dictator of Iran, Reza Pahlavi. But this guy, I mean, to say he has no credibility is an understatement. This guy was out there on TV literally like cheering the fact that his own country and his own people were getting bombed, right? This is a guy who's lived in Washington, D.C. for a really long time. And so he has no authority. He actually reminds me of this character, Ahmed, who was like the hand-picked U.S. choice to be president of Iraq after we toppled Saddam Hussein, right? And the guy had no popular support. So obviously he was a colossal fraud, and that project imploded immediately. And I think a similar thing would happen with Reza. But according to the reporting, they're actually not even really considering Reza. But, they want, the Israelis want somebody who's just a total puppet to Israel and not Muslim at all. So let's be serious here, guys. The conversations that we're having here are absolute lunatic conversations. Like, literally, none of this stuff should be none of this stuff should be on the table. This is all so fucking crazy. And like I said, it's like that movie Groundhog Day. We're literally all the way back in 2002, and we're hearing all the arguments from the Bush administration officials about why we have to overthrow Iraq, and they have weapons of mass destruction, and they helped do 9/11, and they're going to attack us with the weapons of mass destruction. All of that was total horse shit, and we're getting such similar arguments now with this. Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. They weren't building a nuclear weapon. Even if they were building a nuclear weapon, they weren't going to fucking use it. It would only serve as a deterrent to Israeli and Western aggression. Like, every level of this conversation is bullshit. Even when you grant them that what their concern is Iran's nukes. That's not even true. The point is, Iran challenges Israeli hegemony in the region. They want to stop that. So it's simply about regime change. It's simply about Israel and the U.S. We are on the offense. We are aggressive. We are the ones who are committing crimes, right? We're the ones who are violating international law. It's actually not hard to figure out in the slightest. It turns out the country that's been doing a live stream genocide for over a year and bombing 4 different countries, turns out that country actually is the aggressor. You want to know the last time Iran had a war? You ready for this? 250 years ago. And you want me to believe the country that hasn't had a war in 250 fucking years, that they're on the offense here, that they're the baddies here? It's just so fucking preposterous. It's so preposterous. So again, huge news. Regime change has already been greenlit. All this talk about just going after the nuclear facility is bullshit. They've already greenlit regime change. This is according to Seymour Hersh, the legendary reporter. And they are very seriously considering, if not leaning in favor of, using a tactical nuke. And the other thing is, if Trump in his mind feels like, if I use a tactical nuke in this scenario, that would help establish deterrence with the rest of the world, and that would make people think these motherfuckers are crazy, and then Trump would get the fear and respect that he wants from the rest of the world. I'm saying this is in his mind. This is not the reality. The reality is you look at that and you go, this motherfucker belongs in an insane asylum in a straitjacket on Seroquel, right? That would be the correct reaction. But in his mind, he thinks, oh, this makes it much more likely that my word carries weight when I weigh in on Russia and Ukraine. This makes it more likely that all these countries that fucking like look down on us and don't like us, that they realize at the very least you have to fucking fear us and you have to listen to what we say. And so This is seriously being weighed, y'all. This is seriously being weighed. It's fucking horrible. And as I always say, man, do not say you weren't warned that Trump was a colossal warmonger. I cannot tell you how many times before the election I would do screaming segments at the top of my lungs. Don't choose him. He is the biggest warmonger. Look at what he did in his first term. And water off a duck's ass for most people in the political conversation. And that drove me crazy. It's like I was pissing into the wind trying to explain basic facts about how this guy's going to fucking destroy everything. So those are our big updates that we have for you. Now, on top of that, guys, everybody definitely keep your eye out on the channel because Crystal and I did a big debate with Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks for Crystal Kyle and Friends this week. You have the teaser clip drops in a little bit today, and then you have the full show drops a little bit later on around 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. Definitely sign up on Substack because you're going to want to see this whole debate. So the way we split it up is Crystal did the first 30 minutes, I did the second 30 minutes. And we're posting, I believe it's about the first 30 minutes. So basically Crystal's portion of the debate is being posted as the teaser clip on the channel. You'll see we're opening up the clip with a compilation of just how wild the debate got, where basically everybody was yelling at each other. So you'll see a little mashup of all the times we yelled at each other. But definitely either sign up on Substack because you're going to want to see this whole debate, and you can see it as soon as it drops, the full video at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. And if you don't want to do that, there's still another way you can see the whole thing, which is if you sign up on Substack, there's a free version and there's a $5 per month version. $5 per month will get you the video, and it'll get you it as soon as it drops, the full video. But you could also sign up on Substack for free, and that's also same link below. And that would make it so that when the full audio version drops tomorrow, which it drops on all, the major audio platforms, you can listen to it that way. So you could still get the whole debate. It would just be the audio only as opposed to the audio and the video. So 2 different options to listen to the whole thing. Highly recommend you listen to the whole thing. You're not going to want to miss this episode. So either sign up for $5 per month below, you'll get the full video as soon as it drops, 8 o'clock tonight Eastern time, or sign up for free and you will get the audio podcast as soon as it drops, and that drops tomorrow in full. But you're definitely going to want to see it. Basically, the gist of the debate was this. Cenk, after Trump got in the White House again this time, he looked at the scenario and he thought to himself, all right, look, I want to win, and I think that the way to win is to try to build alliances with what he views as the populist right, and that's how the left wins power. And maybe if there's an alliance between the populist right and the left, we can get some wins under the Trump administration. Like, for example, maybe we'll get them to cut the Pentagon, or maybe we'll get paid family leave. That populist right and left-wing alliance is the only thing that could save us now. That's how he was thinking, because he was thinking like that because in Trump's first term, he was a big resistor. He was the fuck Trump and the horse he rode in on, and I'm going to crusade against these people. And so he felt like the hardcore resistance in his mind didn't really work. So now, all right, I got to try to open hearts and open minds and build bridges and get more people on our side from their team, right? Which is understandable from his perspective, because he felt like when I was crusading, that didn't work. In his mind, he thinks I only made the problem worse by being so partisan and such a crusader, where I turned people off who I otherwise could have brought to our side. And Crystal and I had the exact opposite evolution, where in Trump's first term, we felt like we were doing that project. Crystal's whole show is built on that project. Can the populist right and the populist left get together, and can we get change for the better if these two factions link up, basically? That's what her and Sagar have been doing since their fucking show started, back when they did Rising, never mind Breaking Points. And Crystal's conclusion is similar to mine. I remember I did this when I went on Joe Rogan's show a bunch of times and tried to convince him to be a lefty, and he would agree with me and shake his head and say that's correct, and then 3 weeks later have on Ben Shapiro and tell him everything he says is correct. And then eventually, as you all know, Joe Rogan endorsed Donald Trump and went to the inauguration and gave him a hot stone massage on his podcast. And so we had like the opposite evolution, where we felt like, no, when I held their hand and walked them through it, that didn't work. If anything, it made them feel more validated in supporting Trump, right? It made them feel like, oh, here's a lefty, and they're telling me that some of the stuff Trump says is true, therefore, I'm correct in supporting Trump. And the other mistake that Crystal and I made is maybe we would over-focus on criticizing Democrats. Not saying that criticisms weren't legit. I would stand by most of those criticisms I made of Democrats. But when you hyper-focus on criticism of Democrats, as perhaps we did in Trump's first term, you give people the misleading impression that, oh, the Republicans are obviously better, right? And so we had total opposite evolutions. Where now Crystal and I are in the mindset of fuck Trump, fuck his regime, fuck the horse he rode in on. Honestly, at this late date, if you're still seeing the rampant fascism happening in front of us and you're still on his team, I am totally comfortable calling you a fascist in that scenario. So we're the resistors, we're the defiant ones, and Cenk is trying to, build bridges and open hearts and open minds and change minds, and he thinks that, you get more bees with honey, or however the fuck that saying goes. So it was a big debate overall, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Much love to Cenk for being willing to debate these things and go out of his his comfort zone and go out of an area where everybody would agree with him and not along an agreement. He was willing to have what effectively became a heated debate about this. So hope you guys enjoy it. But yeah, man, Crystal's been saying it a lot lately, and I think it's totally true. With all the news updates that we're getting, we literally live in hell. Like, it feels like we live in hell, and it's only getting worse.